Hey there guys, this is Obsidian Chill. Got another video for you today. This is coming from the DCUO test server. This is going to be regarding update 94. So before I touch into the main point of this video, let's kind of hop back and take a look at what's actually going to be coming in this update. Okay, so with update 94 being on test, the main point of this update is the spring seasonal is going to be coming. There's 3 new feats. I'll touch on those once we hop back to the game just to show you what those are. But that's the main reason for the update. They also have some other things as well. Character update and skins. So Wonder Woman, Batman, Cersei, Lex Luthor, and Joker have their NPC models refreshed. Same thing as like, Shazam, Dr. Fate, all the other ones. Basically, they're basically each update we see, we're going to see the new NPC models and their skins refreshed. That's just how the DCU is approaching everything with styles and cosmetics. The other thing as well, there's Navigation Diamond. This really won't play too much of a factor for anything to do with endgame. It's going to be really helpful for like leveling missions. It's going to be the same as like any other MMO game or pretty much any game ever. It's basically once you toggle the mission, it's going to show you like you're 200 meters away from the actual mission objective. So instead of kind of wandering around Metropolis or Gotham wondering where the hell you go, or just having to toggle on your map to look for when you had to pull up your map, toggle a point, and then you basically follow the arrow. This one is a bit more descriptive there, showing you exactly where to go, direction, how many meters away you are. So, that it's not a new concept. It's pretty much in any game ever. Source marks and universal tier vendor. This is what I'm going to touch into on the main point of the video. The other aspect of it is the leveling content updates. It's really just a push to kind of clean up the leveling process. There's a whole bunch of missions that got refreshed, just some quality of life changes. Because really, once again, it doesn't really affect endgame players or most of the players probably watching this channel. But if you're new to the game or just like loving a character, or like when you go to say you go to Twitch on DC, pretty much half the people on Twitch are leveling new characters or new accounts. They're basically just people checking out the game for a weekend or have you whatnot. So basically the missions and the whole leveling process get a lot cleaned up, which is fine. Like obviously those updates haven't been changed in many years, obviously since the beginning of the game. So there's basically cleaned up some enemies, removing counterattacks from enemies, decreasing density, combat areas, better enemy placement, cleaned up text messages and missions and instances. Waypoints. So it's basically just the whole kind of leveling process kind of gets cleaned up and a lot easier. So let's kind of hop back to the game. I'll show you those styles for the spring seasonal, and let's touch on the main point of this video, which is going to be the source marks and universal tier vendor. Okay, so now that we're in game, let's kind of touch on the spring seasonal feats there quickly, just so you guys can see them. Basically the 2 new styles there, rainbow butterfly wings. I think that's a 3-star if I'm not mistaken, which is just a reskin of the butterfly style that we already have. But let's take a quick look at the feats. Let's see, 2019, 10 base items, chest and legs that you just saw there, and then the butterflies. So 25, so that's 75 marks for those 2 feats, and then 10 base items. We've got some. You can look at Torkaruma's channel if you want to see what all these base items look like, but that's essentially what the feats are for that. So let's kind of touch on the main point of this video here. Okay, to start off the conversation here about what's going on with the marks. So essentially it's exactly the same thing that's happened in the past in the game. I think it was like GO47. Basically what they're doing is combining marks. It's happened throughout DC all the time. They get too many marks, they just combine them all into one new mark currency, and that's basically what we're stuck with now. So essentially what they're doing is removing all the marks up to episode 31. So there's going to be no more war bonds, Atlantean crowns, ultra bucks, marked bills. Probably forgetting some other ones, but all those older DLCs. And then basically what they're doing now is they're merging it into one currency called source marks. Same thing with your marks of victory. So marks of victory are now source marks, and all the older marks except for episode 32 and above, which would be like Titan creds, Wrath crowns, and the Demi-Hegrons, the ones we're on right now. So those marks still stay the same, but now all the older DLCs as well as marks of victory are now these source marks. What the conversion ratio is 1-to-1. So say if you've got 200 marks of victory on live right now, you'd have 200 source marks and combine all the other ones as well. So what they've done is in the safe houses, in each one, they've added this new vendor. It's always going to be at the front of the safe house. So when you enter, it's going to be at the front here. So essentially what this vendor does is basically, depending, like see this tune CR is only CR 191. So if I pull it up here, stats, combat rating is 191. So basically, if you're lower combat rating, if you go to this vendor in the safe house, it's going to have all of the gear that requires you to make it up the next level. So you see the 165 gears here, 175 tier gears here. So basically, all the gear you're missing up to episode 31 is going to be on this vendor. So instead of having to run around to all the different episode vendors, it's going to be on one vendor now. And what you've seen as well is because everything's source marks, there's been a huge price reduction in everything. So as you can see, I'm not sure all the prices before, 40, 60 marks in that range, but I know the weapons here, like the weapons for sure used to be 95 marks, now they're 20. The utility belt was around like 35 marks, now it's 8. Same thing, the utility belt or the trinket was always 35 marks, that's down to 8. I think the neck was usually around 30 marks, that's down to 8 now as well, or 35. The face was always 20, now it's down to 4. So it's been a much cheaper cost reduction in all the older DLC gear. So say it helps if you're leveling a tune or have like a lower gear alt, then it's cheaper to get the marks to raise up to the current CR, as well as if you're missing old style feats from the vendors, then you can go back and get these missing styles here as well from this universal tier vendor. So that's going to be a nice thing just to have everything in the same place, as well as you can kind of see the mark reduction and everything. So kind of let's dive a little bit deeper into what's going on here as well. Okay, so let's get into the negatives surrounding this. So the whole thing is, since it revolves around CR relevancy, once you reach a certain CR where you're past those episodes, so for example, this tune is going to be combat rating 270, so this is obviously the CR relevancy for the brand new content. Now, if I try to run some of this older content, like say we go to this Earth 3 vendor. So as you can see, same thing as before, everything's a lot cheaper. The highlighted ones, it's cheaper because I have the mark reduction there. But if we scroll down to the bottom here, they did not change any of the prices on any of the OP items. So if you're missing OP items from like Earth 3 or from Age of Justice, or say like styles like the Minotaur head, those ones are still the exact same prices, except you have no way to earn that currency because it's all source marks. So say before you could just run, Olympus, you can run Gods and Monsters every single week and eventually get enough ancient coins to purchase the Minotaur head without having to worry about marks. But now, since ancient coins are gone, you have only these source marks. So now the only way to get source marks is to run the most current content. So for example, if I go into Earth 3 here, okay, so if I go to Earth 3, where's a weekly vendor? Weekly, yeah. So this was going to be, let's just accept it here. So this was the 303 weekly for Earth 3. As you can see, the reward is only going to be a large loot cache. So I don't get any marks. Because before you'd get you get some marks of victory, as well as you get the ultra bucks. So now, since the ultra bucks are gone, it's only source marks. You don't get anything because I'm past that CR relevancy. So if I was going to do any kind of old content, like say I was going to do like Riddle with Crime DLC, Earth 3, Atlantean Crowns, like that mission where you kind of kill the Radio Starro, the one that takes like 10 seconds and you get 8 marks and 8 crowns. Well, now I'm not going to be able to do that mission anymore because it doesn't exist. Or it exists, but I'm not going to get any crowns or marks of victory from it. So essentially, anything that's past your CR relevancy, you're only going to get gear or cash, basically. You're not going to get any kind of marks. So the issue becomes that if you're trying to get some of those OP items, like if I was still missing like the OP neck or anything like that else, if I still needed the one of the collections from it, the only way to get source marks would be to run the new current content. So say if I go to like Chaos Gotham here, Okay, so it's gonna skip to here. So if I was gonna run, let's just say, I don't think I have any. I think I already have the missions here. Yeah, so I already have the missions here. So basically, if I was going to go to Chaos Gotham now, or any of that kind of new content, I can get 8 marks of the current gear and 8 source marks. So the only way to get those source marks for those older DLCs that are past CR relevancy is to run the brand new content. Or it doesn't have to necessarily be brand new. It could be basically it can be anything that would give you Wrath Crown. So I could still run Crown and Throne Elite. I could still run what was the Titan Cred, sorry. Yeah, so I could still run Hive Machine, I could run Throne and Crown, and I could run the brand new raids as well. So those are the only places to get source marks from. So if you're missing some OP items before, anything from Age of Justice to get those style feats or the Minotaur head, anything like that, that's going to cost like 200-300 source marks, you've got to keep farming the new content just to be able to get that. So that becomes where the issue is. The only way to get source marks now is basically to run that brand new content. Don't think it's a little bit deceptive here being at like 2,000 source marks, is because on test servers, since we have 999 of everything, since it's converted at a 1-to-1 ratio, obviously I have way more source marks on test than you guys would have on live. So that becomes the issue. Okay, so the issue becomes, say you're trying to make some money or trying to buy some of the old find. So basically this is the Star vendor right here. So once again, Atlantean crowns are gone. It's all source marks now. So basically the Rainbow Ore, the White Urchin, the Henchman, the Star Trinket are all going to be source marks. So basically the only way to earn these extra source marks, if you're missing these or want to trade them or put them on the broker, whatever have you, in each kind of DLC, is the only way to do that now is you have to farm the new content to be able to afford that. So it becomes a kind of like a balancing act. So once again, really the only issue is going to be is for players that are missing style feats or missing gear rewards from previous tiers as they move up. It's not so much going to impact endgame players as long as you already have everything. So it's going to be one of those things where you have to be careful to skip CR levels to go right to the end game first, because then you're going to move out of CR relevancy and have an issue with that. It also majorly affects like replayability. So there's no reason to run old content anymore because it's out of CR relevancy. So if something's out of CR relevancy, like there's no point for me ever to queue up like a Spindrift or like an SSE or that's the same thing, a TTBE, anything like that. There's no point for me ever to do that because I don't need the loot caches. There's no marks, there's no gear. If I'm helping out someone, that's fine. But right now, there's absolutely no reason for me ever to queue up. You could still run Gotham City. You're not going to get any marks from it or source marks, but I guess there's still a chance at the Trinket, the Man-Bat Commandos. That's about the only reason to run that. I guess you could say the same thing with like Pano for the Ultraman Cape, stuff like that, but you're not going to get any marks from it. So that becomes the issue. So if a raid doesn't have some kind of like OP gear or something that you can sell at the end, there's no point for me to ever run. Like say Spindrift, TTBE, absolutely no reason for me ever to run that ever again. I'm not going to get any marks from it. I don't need any gear. It's going to be some salvages for some exabytes that are outdated. So that becomes the issue where it takes away any kind of incentive to run previous raids because you're not going to get any kind of rewards. You're just going to get some loot caches that are pointless anyway and cash. So you're not going to get any marks previously. So what I can do is recommend run everything that you can for the next 2 weeks before this comes out. Build up as many source marks as you can because it's all a 1-to-1 conversion ratio. So run every single piece of content. Run, however, like doesn't matter. Like run TTB, run SSE, run Gotham City Zoo, anything that'll give you like Ultra Bucks. Run Penny, run Escape, run all those raids that you can. Anything like even Gods and Monsters, Olympus, anything that'll give you like War Bonds, Atlantean crowns, ancient coins, any one of those raids, run them for the next couple weeks because it'll build up how many source marks you can get when the 1-to-1 conversion ratio comes out. So that's my basically advice to you guys is run everything you can until this comes out and then kind of see where you're standing there with the source marks. So if you have any questions, kind of put them in the comment section below. I know this is kind of a major change to the game, but it's like a major like subtle change. It's going to impact some people more than it impacts others, but let's kind of take a look and see what it does. Take care, guys. Thanks for watching.